Hello everybody, it's Clayton from claystorr, and on today's episode of Polyperfect, I am going to be showing you how to create your own legendary wand from the new series, Hogwarts Legacy. Hello everyone, welcome back to Polyperfect. In today's episode we will be going through ZBrush and Dynamesh, looking at the pros and cons of both and when you should and shouldn't use them. If you missed out on last week's episode, which was the basics of Zbrush, go check that out and stay tuned for next week's episode where we'll be going through masking and polygroups. Okay, let's head over to Zbrush. So let's start with Dynamesh. Dynamesh is a tool that allows you to add or take away total geometry on your asset. To use Dynamesh, head over to the Geometry tab, head down to Dynamesh, and just have a look at these tools real quick. To keep it simple, we're only going to be looking at resolution. Resolution is going to dictate how much poly count you are looking at. So the higher this number, the more poly count you're going to be looking at, the lower the number, the lower. Okay? So there's one more thing you might want to keep in note. Depending how big your asset is in world space, this actual resolution will change. So make sure that, you know, the size of what you are doing is either small or big, and only add big numbers to smaller objects, smaller numbers to bigger objects. Okay, so let's start pulling the geometry and seeing what happens. So as you pull your geometry, you can see it begins to stretch. If you would like to see the poly count, you can press Shift F or press this button here, and that will show you essentially that, you know, your poly count is being stretched and it's not very clean. So you can Dynamesh this, for example. So if we simply up our resolution and press Dynamesh, you can see it has fixed that for us. However, we are now looking at a 300,000 active poly count. So like I said, just be mindful about how much resolution you actually want to add. You can also do this by control dragging the environment. Okay, so let's say you have started pulling your geometry around and you've sculpted something that you are happy with, and now you want to start detailing it. This is where you essentially want to ZBrush. So you never really want to ZBrush until you're happy with your full geometry and you're happy with your block out. Then you can ZBrush, which will essentially allow you to work from a lower memory usage and use things known as subdivisions to add further details. Let me show you how I'd ZBrush. So first off, we want to go to the Geometry tab again. Want to head over to ZBrush, and then you're going to get bombarded with a lot of different things you can do. For this example, we're just going to look at the target poly count. So the target poly count is kind of like the resolution for Dynamesh. So the more you increase it, the more poly count it's going to give. The less you increase it, the less it's going to give. However, it doesn't really scale based on the world space, so you can be more precise with this decision. To ZBrush, we simply just want to press ZBrush. Here you can see our ZBrush. You can see that the poly count is much more clean. So if you press Shift F like I showed you before, you can see that you've got much more clean and precise mesh to work with. However, you're not going to have that super high resolution like you did with Dynamesh. You can see that we're only on 10,000 polygons. So to add geometry, we can press Ctrl D, which will actually subdivide our mesh. So if you look in the Geometry tab, you can see your subdivisions. So I would increase this by a substantial amount, let's say 600,000. To go up and down in these subdivisions, you can press Shift D to go down and D to go up. If you want to learn more about ZBrushes by subscribing at claystorr.com, you will find the raw footage of this wand creation. This also helps us out and lets us continue to create content just like this. Did you know we have a community Discord? No? Well, check out the description below. Make sure you read the rules and tick the box at the end so that it will give you full access of our Discord. Then head over to Introduction, pick your roles. Here you can select if you want to be notified if new games and movies drop. You can select your career path. You can choose to be a part of the claystorr community and win prizes. And select if you would like to compete in challenges and game jams. Thank you so much for watching. We would highly appreciate it if you could like this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Comment down below what your thoughts were, and don't forget to head over to our Discord and share what you learned throughout this episode. Remember, all designs throughout each series will be shown at the end of the video, so be sure to head over to the submission sections in the Discord and post your work. I have been your host, Clayton Jones, and don't forget to stay creative.